Hello, Jason. I'm really excited to talk to you. And I was wondering if you could share, who is Jason Wiener? What makes you tick?
This is my plug for the Jenny Kassan interview because we have a lot in common. So I grew up with unionized public school teachers. I come from a long line of teachers and leftist radicals. My grandfather was on a McCarthy list and had to consult a lawyer during the Red Scare. My parents used to have these kind of armchair socialist get-togethers with their friends. Um, but I was raised with kind of this solidarity minded construct of the middle class and, the American dream that if you work together and work hard, the American dream is available. And that generally meant unionizing. It meant living in cooperative housing. My dad bought his first house, actually moved into my grandparents' housing co-op, which was the first limited equity housing co-op in New York, Queensview West in Long Island City. So I had this kind of background going into college where I studied labor studies and was exposed to a broader view of an economy that didn't just circle around extractive, rapacious capitalism that dehumanized workers. And I think that began to inspire a vision of a society and an economy that could work for all based on true merit, not just the uh, perception of merit that we talk about in our style of democracy here in the US, which is a farce, of course.
Yes. So, starting your own law firm is a big step. So, what led you to start your own law firm?
I was coming from an in-house role for a co-op, which felt at the time like, the top of the top couldn't be beat job for a lawyer, especially a corporate or business lawyer. And I thought, well, there's no way I'm going back. I can't ever work for somebody else. I don't want to work for big law. I felt completely bought into doing my part to help build the building blocks of a better economy and a better future. And I thought there's going to be no better time and no better point in my career when I can quite literally hang a shingle that has my core values and my full identity up on the wall to attract in any sort of resonant clients. And to my delight, relief, and maybe a little surprise, there was a long list of people who were looking for a values aligned kind of person to person, human centered lawyer who would speak plainly and give them options and be creative and kind of walk alongside them and not just tell them no. And I thought this is really the only way I could do this, and I could do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah. So, when you first started, how did you know which clients were the right fit for you and how has that evolved over time?
In the early days, it's a steep curve to build confidence and hone instincts. I was really looking for clients that were looking to do things differently, whether that meant operate as a B Corp, pursue social justice or environmental sustainability as an objective, or organize their ownership differently. Cooperatives and alternative ownership were really exciting to me. I got to work on some early employee ownership conversions, and that body of work with all of its different dimensions really excited me. So I really followed the type of work, and I made a lot of errors in judgment and took on bad clients and bad projects. But I developed instincts, and I learned that in order to do this well and do it sustainably, I had to really be a business owner. And so that meant building systems, and that meant really targeting the kinds of clients that nurtured us as an organization. And to be of service for future clients, we had to be operating sustainably. And so I really honed my view of what made a good client, but certainly values led the way. And again, I remember sitting down and just kind of blurting out the core values of the firm that live on our website. And they've been discussed and debated many times over the years, but they've endured and they have galvanized and they have resonated with folks time and again. And even today, I've had a client reflect back to me that what they've read on our website, they've never seen elsewhere. And it spoke to them in a way that they've never felt seen before. And that tells me that, my instincts and the values were the starting point, and everything emanated from that with, some guardrails and tweaks along the way.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've noticed being a newer employee is that the firm really walks its talk. Unlike a lot of workplaces that might look like they're doing really good things and maybe have really great clients, like internally, they don't always operate that way. And law firms are notorious for that. There's many law firms that might position themselves as like, hey, we work with these really mission-driven clients, but working for those firms can be miserable.
Yeah.
So how did you go about kind of growing the firm in a way that, it's hard to run a law firm. How did you really stay true to those values, even like when times might have gotten tough?
I love that question. When I started out, I thought, I'm going to build a law firm that I would want to work for. I started with this premise of I'm the first, client of this firm. I knew that I was starting a family, and so I needed this to be sustainable and support, you know, sick kids at home, changing diapers, all the things. And to do that, I needed to hire quality people. Well, to hire quality people, I needed to offer a workplace that would attract people who are the best and brightest and values aligned and stay. So I thought, okay, I need to build this in a way that doesn't just support me, but supports others. And in supporting others, that supports me and I can support them. And it almost became this marketplace where I felt like the real test was whether people came and whether they stayed. And so the fact that we've had such incredible people come through our doors, in many ways, we've punched well above our weight, hiring people that have had plenty of opportunities, best and the brightest from top-notch law schools and plenty of big firm offers and options, tells me that there's a real hunger for something that's holistically different. It's not just the dollars and cents. It's not that people have a price tag to take abuse in toxic environments. I thought, what if we remove all those negative things? At least we do our best to do that. We create a culture that's rooted in health and we work around that. I knew that this was not a get rich quick scheme. This was going to be a lifestyle choice to support me and everyone here. And our human talent that is what we offer to people. It is the people, their experiences, their talent, their treasure, their genius, their energy. How do we nurture that so they can provide their best? That's how we were going to build. And so we didn't need profit per partner metrics. We didn't need, I like to use this metaphor of like marble clad walls and law libraries. And, I don't have a yacht and third home or second home. So if we didn't need those things, what would it look like to just reinvest all our surplus into its people and keeping people whole and happy so that we can continue to do more and grow in a healthy, sustainable way? And I realized pretty quickly that what we were doing was what our clients were trying to do, and we weren't that different from them. So I was learning very quickly that if I took my own medicine and learned from my own experience, I quickly became a more effective and resonant lawyer to clients. And I could tell them about what I do. And that just created this kind of virtuous cycle of trust and authenticity that I felt like I couldn't get away with if I wanted to, trying to, not walk the talk, because I have real stakeholder team members who would call me out. And they are the ultimate litmus test of whether we are healthy or not healthy. And so I feel this real sense of fidelity and stewardship to our team members as the treasure that we offer the world. And so if we're not nurturing each other and ourselves and supporting one another, and I view myself as one of the team as a peer, if we're not doing that well, it almost doesn't matter what we offer to clients because we ourselves are not well and healthy. And so in a way that feels almost misleading.
Yeah. Yeah, because our firm is all about working with the best for the world businesses that are doing everything they can to make the world a better place. And we have so many inspiring clients, and I'm sure a lot of them really appreciate working with people who have themselves run small businesses or growing businesses, because there's nothing like, I mean, you could work for the quote unquote best law firm in the world, but if you've just been a lawyer your whole life working for a big firm, you know nothing about what it is to run a small business. So I think that's so valuable. So,
Actually, if I can, I have an anecdote on that. And I learned this lesson very early. So when I was in house, I was probably 2 months in. I had no previous transactional or business experience, but I had, I'd been entrepreneurial in my life. But I remember coming to strategy meetings and coming with no and a reason why no was my answer. And I was pulled aside and told, look, you're either going to come with solutions you can get behind, or we're just going to stop inviting you to these meetings. It wasn't said so starkly, but I quickly internalized that message and thought, oh, my job is not just to see legal issues. My job is to see opportunities and to build solutions. And I remember laughing at a friend who had a solutions architect title on his business card. This was in like 2013, 14, and I laughed at it. And then I really started to realize that's what we are. We can't just show up and see legal issues and say no. We have to show up, hear legal issues, and then turn around and provide solutions. And then I thought that's how we add value.
exactly. Yes. I mean, legal services are obviously what we come to the table with, but we also see other things that are not technically legal issues, but it all kind of fits together. So that is a good segue to the question of, what does it look like when the team collaborates to provide services to the client? Like, what, it's beyond just kind of getting a deal done. It's way more than that. Like, what does it look like when we work with a client?
So we try to adopt a really intentional style of lawyering that roots itself in the goals and objectives and constraints of the client. There's folks will hear this is a design process, or this is, kind of legal architecture, whatever the frame of it is. We try to just be intentional. So what are we starting with? What do we know? And we try to take a client-centric view of the relationship. So all the way from our intake process to the different fee arrangements we have, they're designed around the way we know and believe clients want to work. And from there, we try to factor in collaboration, because we know that many minds create a better service. No one of us is as smart as all of us, and no one of us has all the answers. I have a way of looking at something, but it needs to be rounded out and balanced and enriched by the perspective of different ways of thinking. So we build that into the way that we build clients and the way that we work. We have huddles and office hours and team and project collaboration tools all built into the rhythm of our workflow, so that we have opportunities to brainstorm and issue spot and analyze and come up with creative solutions all behind the scenes. And what the client gets, again, is a highly synthesized and condensed version of that thinking that's gone through multiple rounds of filtering and vetting and troubleshooting. And so what I think that I'm most proud of, what I know to be the thing I'm most proud of, is what we produce has solid reasoning. There's no one way to do anything, and there's no right or wrong. It's never black and white. But what I know to be true is that whatever we're going to propose to a client, we have really good reasons for. And what differentiates us is that we, quote, show the math. We tell them why we've come to this conclusion. And that way, if they say, oh, that assumption we've changed, or actually that thing that you've prioritized is not that important to us now, well, that's great to know, because now we can pivot the analysis and change the recommendation. And so we like to say nothing we do is set in stone, it's iterative. And that iterative process is how business owners work and think. They don't want to wait a month for the final answer. They want a quick set of inputs to guide decision making in a dynamic world. And the more that we can do to feed that iterative process, the more in the loop we are to help optimize the solution given the real world in which they're working.
Absolutely. It's like a partnership.
Yes,
We're part of the team.
that's right.
So, given you've made so much amazing impact with this firm, do you see anything coming up that is going to be new and different, new opportunities to make a positive impact, new areas that we might branch out into?
Absolutely. So for the last year, we've been majority women owned, which I'm very excited by. For at least the last 8 or 9 years, we've always had a majority women led team, which is exciting. That's really unusual in the legal space. I'm most excited to take Jackie's leadership to the next level. I have led and managed the team for about 11 years. For the last year, Jackie's been our managing partner. And with you coming on, we have a whole suite of new expertise and offerings. I'm excited about capital and financing roadmaps. I'm excited about full spectrum entity planning for startups and conversions. I'm excited by the entrepreneurial nature of even the nonprofit communities that are coming to us since a lot of federal grant dollars have dried up. There's more and more emphasis on entrepreneurship and self-help, and your background and the background of Jackie and other team members, I think positions us to serve this burgeoning movement of third sector creativity and third sector organizations that are trying to build their organizations for social and environmental impact while being financially sustainable for their stakeholders and, yes, their investors as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it really does require some outside the box thinking, which I
Very
think
much.
collectively we have a really great bench for that.
Yes.
So, if someone is thinking about becoming a client of the firm, what is it like to work with the firm? How would you describe the process of, figuring out if it's a good fit, starting the engagement? What does that look like?
We've really tried hard to streamline the process and get to an assessment of fit very quickly. So when somebody emails any one of our team members or our info at email address, they will get a response often within a few hours and at most 1 or 2 days. And we will immediately set up an initial consult, no charge. And that's a meet or greet to determine whether there's a good fit based on values and scope and needs, timeline, et cetera. Again, we offer a variety of fee arrangements that are well suited to the type of clients and the type of work that we do. We're moving uh, intentionally toward fixed fees and subscription fees to help control cost and provide a totally transparent fee arrangement for all parties to know what is going in without having to worry about the clock. And from there, we're often able to send an engagement letter out and get the project started within a week. I pride ourselves on being personal in our responses. We are always looking at emails to ensure that it's a tailored response. We try to walk the talk by holding boundaries of work hours and priorities. And so we're providing personalized responses to even intake inquiries and clients while respecting people's work times, work hours, and existing priorities. But with that said, I know us to be extraordinarily responsive and rather more timely than many of the other law firms out there. Oftentimes I used to be, when I was a general counsel, a consumer, and I would send questions and not get a response for 3 or 4 weeks. We have trained our attorneys to be responsive to at least the top line headline of the email quickly, and then to triage the depth and timeline for a more substantive response. So that's tailored. But we go over all this in our intake call. We're continually trying to improve on our process, but our clients will tell us that we're highly responsive and even substantively creative in a very quick timeline to enable them to do what they need to do. If something requires more thorough research and analysis, we'll of course go over that with the client, make sure that they understand what goes into that.
Awesome. Is there anything else you would like to add that you think people should know?
I think that in a time of AI and ChatGPT and real emphasis on doing good in the world, there's a lot of talk. And I am so proud that we have been at this for 12 years with the team that we have. I haven't done the math, but we're probably close to a combined 80, 90 years of true social enterprise lawyering, which may stand uncontested in the country. I don't know for sure, but we all individually come to this team having done creative, out of the box lawyering for community driven, purpose built organizations. And there's no substitute for the combination of one's attention, expertise, and training. And what we have put together, I think, is really unparalleled in terms of that combination and knowing how deep to go when somebody writes to us. We're not robots, we're literally and figuratively. And yet, what we bring could never be replaced by AI because we bring the human touch. That's something that I really am proud of.
Well, thank you so much for sharing the background on the firm. I feel so lucky to be a part of it.
And I feel lucky to have you join and be with us. And I'm so excited for what's to come.